Hey guys, welcome to day 17 of the 30 Days of Transformations. I am Katie. If you don't know me, I'm a women's body love coach. I show you how to learn to love your body, basically, is what it comes down to. And in learning to love your body, learning to love yourself. So the 30 Days of Transformations is all about me sharing with you transformations I have gone through in my own body love journey. And every day I'm giving you a little task that you can take away, you can do in your own life that will help you take one step closer to creating your own transformation. And today we are talking about asking for help. And this is something that has taken quite a long time. There's quite a journey within this lesson for me. I know that this is challenging for a lot of people. Asking for help is not something that comes naturally to many people, because quite often there's this idea that you're admitting defeat, or like you're broken, or you're not good enough, or you can't do it. You know, there's that kind of, it's like a failure. It's almost that label that gets attached to it. I'll give you a good example. I remember in my early 20s, I would have been 22 or 23. I have a clear memory standing in a bookstore beside the self-help section. Self-help section was like one aisle over and I could see it. And I just remember standing there and looking and thinking, oh, I really want to go there. I want to, like this was like before online shopping for books and stuff. This was before all of that. This was when you went to the store and you physically purchased a book. And I remember just looking and thinking, oh, I want to go and look, and I want to check out what they have, and I wonder if they could help me with this and with this and with this. And you know, at that time I was really struggling with my body image. I was in a really dark place. My mom had passed away just a couple of years prior, and I was really emotionally not in a really good place. And I just thought, I really want to help, and I can't. I couldn't. Like, I literally have a memory. It must have been the winter. I remember wearing a big winter coat. I remember standing there with my head down, and my hair was down. Would have been a similar length to it is now. My head was down, and I remember there was hair kind of blocking half my face. And I just remember looking out of the corner of my eye and thinking, I couldn't go over there. What if somebody saw me? What would they think? They would judge me. They would think there's something wrong with me because I'm in the self-help section. And though at the time that just seemed normal to me, looking back now, like, that's a huge thing. That's a huge thing for me to be this, you know, woman in my young 20s, in my early 20s, knowing I needed help, knowing that I needed something, and yet being too afraid to put my hand up and say, I need help. I was so terrified that people would judge me, they would look at me differently, and I didn't do it. Honestly, I didn't do it. I did not go to the self-help section that day, and I think it took me years after that to go to that section. And really, this all has to do with learning to love my body, because as I've learned to love my body, I've seen myself in a different way, and I've learned to love myself, and I've learned to honor myself. Honor that I need help, but also learn to not care what other people think. Learn to just know that everybody on this planet is existing in their own little bubble. They're doing their own thing, and they don't care what book section I'm in. They don't care what kind of books I'm reading. Nobody gives a crap. Only me. I'm the only one. And through learning to love my body, I've really learned that in a lot of different areas of life. So there's a few ways that this transformation happened. Number one, I had to realize that I needed to stop buying things to make me happy and start investing in change. Now, what I mean by this is, for years, I knew I needed help. Like, deep inside me, I knew I wasn't happy. I knew I needed to change. I knew I needed to work on myself. And I didn't really know how, right? Like, I didn't know where to go. I was too afraid to ask for help. I didn't want to admit that I needed help. So I was doing other things that would make me happy temporarily. That was going on trips. That was even just going out for coffee, shopping, whether it's clothes or books, other kind of books, all different things, right? I was doing whatever else I could to make me happy, instead of actually just asking for help. Instead of actually just saying, like, I can't do this. I need help. I need somebody to guide me. I need somebody to show me how to do this. And this, like I said, I wasn't ready to ask for help. I firmly believe there's a few steps when it comes to asking for help. Number one is you need to be able to admit to yourself that you need help. And this can be a huge step. Just admitting that you can't do it alone. Excuse me, that you need help, that you need guidance. Admit to yourself. Step number two is then going outside of yourself and seeking help. And quite often when we begin to seek help, it's in smaller things, right? It might be in a self-help book or a podcast or a small online program where we don't have to actually talk to anybody, or, you know, a smaller weekend course or something. Quite often our first step is that tiny thing, right? It's like a baby step. And once we've taken that baby step, and we realize like, okay, it's not that scary to look at, but I know that I need more to really help me. That really is when you can then launch into what I'm going to get to next, which is asking for help from people in your life. So admitting that I needed help, really with a lot of emotional things, with my body image, I needed to admit to my family that I needed help. Now I'm the youngest. I do have an older sister, and her and I, this is something we have in common, right? We've both at different times in our life, we have very different kind of timelines, but we do have this in common, that we've both struggled with body image at different points in our lives. And admitting that this isn't good is hard, but you know what it does? Almost inevitably, somebody else will put their hand up and say, me too. It's hard for me too. I get you. I understand you. And this can be, like I said, this can be your family. This could be friends. It could be coworkers. It could be your partner even. But saying that you need help is key. And I think so often people forget, and I love to remind myself of this because I sometimes forget too. Human beings evolved in communal societies. Our 21st century way of living is quite unnatural. For most of evolution, we were living in big groups, you know, huge groups. And when, you know, families would all live together, and when there were children were raised by the extended family and many different women, and there were different men, and men would go hunting together and women would gather food together, and we were together. We problem solve together. We are better together. More brains means everything just works well. We are not meant to deal with all of life's stress by ourselves. We are not. On an evolutionary level, we're not meant to do that. Yet somehow in this 21st century way of being, we've gotten this idea that like separate is better. I don't want to burden somebody else. What are they going to think of me? But really, we are, as human beings, we are hardwired to help. We want to help. The vast majority of people in your life want to help you, right? They want to do whatever they can for you. We all are. It's like I said, it's hardwired into being human. And really, 9 times out of 10, people are not going to think any less of you for asking for help. And if they do, you may want to question whether that person is the kind of supportive person you want in your life. Honestly, we all want people in our lives that are going to build us up and support us and help us. And if you have somebody in your life, so if you have a friend and you ask them for help or guidance or support, and they shame you for needing help or tell you that you're not good enough or they judge you, do you really want to be friends with that person, right? That's a good question to ask. So like I said, knowing that you need help. Number 1 is admitting it to yourself. Number 2 is quite often that tiny step, right? Buying a book, listening to a podcast, something like that. Then it might be asking for help from your family and friends, or at least just opening that conversation and talking about it. And the next step is talking to a professional about it. Since I discovered coaching, since I was kind of awakened to the world of coaching, I literally have not been without a coach. And at one time, I had 5. This is all different areas of my life, focusing on all different things. But seriously, I kid you not, at one point in my life, I had 5 coaches. And I get that that's a bit excessive. all right? But the fact is, it's a game changer. It's a total life changer. Actually, just this morning, I was on a call with a client and a friend, and she was saying, you know, I don't know how I would function without this every week. I don't know how I would get through my life without having somebody to, number one, vent to, number two, help me create growth and change and forward momentum and keep me accountable. She's like, I don't know how I would function. And honestly, I feel the same. I don't know how I would function. I don't know how I would get through life, because I have reached this point within myself where asking for help is actually a sign of strength. Asking for help is saying, I can't do it alone and you can, and let's freaking do this together and stand up. And I'm willing to be vulnerable enough to say I can't do it. And that in itself is strong. Vulnerability creates strength. So I really just want to put this out there to you guys, that if you are on your own body love journey, if you're working on learning to love yourself and you're really struggling, you're not alone. Number one, okay? You're not alone. You really, really aren't. And I would ask you to get curious about where you are in that process. Like I said, you know, step one is admitting to yourself that maybe you need some help. Step two is maybe reading a book or a podcast or an online course or something small where you're not really talking to anybody, but you are starting to look into it. Number three might be family or friends. And then number four is professional. Now, we don't all go through every step, okay? You might be saying, I don't want to talk to my family. That's cool. You don't have to. But I really just would ask you to get curious about where you are in that journey, and is it serving you? Right? If you're trying to learn to love yourself and you're trying to learn to love your body, if you're watching this, I would bet that you're at least at level 2, because this is one of those things that you don't have to interact with anybody, but you can still learn, right? So really, where are you in your process, in your journey? Is it serving you? And is it time for you to take it to the next level? Is it time for you to step up? And that might be, again, that might be doing an online course. That might be reading a book. It might be talking to your sister about it, or your friend, or coworker. We don't know, like, it's different for everybody, but asking that question, and again, becoming really aware of yourself, your coping mechanisms, where you are right now, and whether or not it's actually helping you, will in itself, that awareness will in itself help you take the next step forward. So that's really what I'm going to leave you with today, is just ask yourself that question. Where are you? Is it serving you? Are you ready to take the next step? That's it. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back tomorrow for day 18. See ya.